Atlantis, Myth, Memory, and the Lost Empire of the Sea. Beneath the waves lies a story older than history itself, a tale of a mighty empire that rose in glory and vanished in a single fateful day. Plato called it Atlantis, the island of kings. Some call it myth, others memory. But what if the legend hides a truth buried deep beneath the sea? This is the story of Atlantis, the lost empire of the sea, where myth and memory intertwine. The story of Atlantis begins not with explorers, but with a philosopher. Around 360 BCE, in ancient Athens, Plato wrote two dialogues, Timaeus and Critias. In them, he described a mighty island beyond the Pillars of Heracles, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar. Atlantis, he said, was larger than Libya and Asia combined. It was a land of rich soil, vast mountains, and magnificent palaces, ruled by kings descended from Poseidon, the god of the sea. For centuries, Atlantis prospered. Its people mastered navigation, architecture, and agriculture. They built canals that encircled their capital, a city of concentric rings of land and water. Its walls gleamed with orichalcum, a mythical metal second only to gold. But as their power grew, so did their pride. The Atlanteans, once noble, became greedy and corrupt, seeking to conquer the known world. The gods, angered by their arrogance, sent earthquakes and floods that swallowed the island in a single day and night of misfortune. And so Atlantis disappeared, leaving behind only echoes in Plato's words. For over 2 millennia, philosophers, explorers, and dreamers have debated, was Atlantis real or a parable about the dangers of hubris? Plato claimed his story came from Egyptian priests who told the tale to the Greek lawgiver Solon 200 years earlier. They said Atlantis existed 9,000 years before Solon's time, placing it around 11,600 years ago, near the end of the last ice age. That date, remarkably, aligns with a period of rising seas and sudden climate change, when glaciers melted and coastal civilizations would have vanished beneath the waves. Could the legend of Atlantis preserve the memory of such a forgotten people? From the Renaissance onward, countless explorers set out to find Atlantis. Some searched the Atlantic Ocean, believing the Canary Islands or the Azores were remnants of the lost continent. Others looked to the Caribbean, pointing to submerged ruins near Cuba and the Bahamas, especially the mysterious Bimini Road, a pattern of large stones lying just beneath the surface. In the Mediterranean, scholars proposed Santorini, Thera, an island destroyed by a massive volcanic eruption around 1600 BCE, as a real-world inspiration. The eruption wiped out the Minoan civilization, once powerful and advanced, whose art, trade, and architecture rivaled Greece itself. Could the memory of that catastrophe have evolved into Plato's tale? Even in North Africa, researchers have pointed to the Risha structure in Mauritania, a vast circular formation visible from space that mirrors Plato's description of Atlantis's concentric rings. Each theory offers clues and contradictions. Atlantis remains both everywhere and nowhere at once. Plato's own account gives geography, but it is poetic, not cartographic. He places Atlantis beyond the Pillars of Heracles, suggesting the Atlantic, yet fills it with features more akin to the Mediterranean. Some scholars believe he invented the tale as an allegory, a cautionary story about the fall of powerful nations. Others argue that myth often preserves fragments of truth, memories passed down orally long after the events themselves. Perhaps Atlantis was not a single island, but a collective memory of coastal civilizations lost to rising seas. After all, around 12,000 years ago, sea levels rose by more than 100 meters, flooding entire regions that humans once inhabited. Atlantis may be the name we gave to all of them. More important than where Atlantis was, is what it meant. In Plato's tale, Atlantis stood as the mirror of Athens, a society corrupted by wealth and power, punished for forgetting its virtues. It was a warning that even the greatest civilizations can fall, not from enemies, but from within. But beyond philosophy, Atlantis became a symbol of human longing, our eternal search for lost wisdom, perfect societies, and golden ages. The story inspired countless thinkers, from early Christian theologians to Renaissance explorers like Columbus, who believed the New World might be Atlantis reborn. In the 19th and 20th centuries, writers like Ignatius Donnelly and Helena Blavatsky claimed Atlantis was the cradle of all civilizations, a lost world of advanced technology and spiritual enlightenment. Modern science dismisses those claims, but the fascination remains. Why? Because Atlantis touches something primal, the fear of loss and the dream of rediscovery. Beneath myth lies evidence, though scattered and uncertain. Sonar surveys in the Atlantic have revealed curious patterns on the sea floor, now known to be natural formations. Yet around the world, traces of vanished coastlines continue to appear. In India's Gulf of Cumbat, researchers found submerged city structures dating back 9,000 years. Off the coast of Japan, the underwater monument of Yonaguni resembles ancient stepped pyramids. And in the Mediterranean, the ruins of Pavlopetri and Heraklion, both real, sunken cities, prove that great urban centers have indeed been swallowed by the sea. Perhaps Atlantis was not alone, but one of many civilizations erased by water, remembered only in myth. What makes Atlantis timeless is its resonance across cultures. Many ancient peoples, from the Sumerians to the Mayans, told stories of floods that ended worlds and cleansed humanity. In Mesopotamia, the Epic of Gilgamesh speaks of a deluge sent by the gods. In the Bible, Noah's Ark preserves the last of mankind from destruction. And in Greek myth, Zeus sends a flood to punish human arrogance, the same theme Plato echoes in Atlantis. Perhaps these are not separate stories, but different versions of the same memory, of a time when rising seas erased entire worlds. Atlantis endures because it asks questions that science alone cannot answer. What happens when civilization forgets humility? What price do we pay for power without wisdom? And are we, in our modern age, repeating Atlantis's mistakes? As cities rise on fragile coasts and oceans climb higher each year, the myth feels less like fantasy and more like prophecy. Perhaps Atlantis is not a place to be found, but a warning to be heeded. The myth of Atlantis continues to shape culture. It appears in literature, film, and even pseudo-scientific speculation about ancient astronauts or lost technologies. Yet, beyond all exaggeration, Atlantis remains humanity's oldest metaphor for lost knowledge, for what we once knew and somehow forgot. In 2009, scientists discovered evidence of a massive sea level rise that occurred roughly 11,600 years ago, exactly the date Plato gave. Across the globe, submerged ruins show that human civilization was already experimenting with cities long before recorded history began. Atlantis may symbolize that forgotten dawn, when we were already building, exploring, and losing. Modern technology has renewed the quest. Satellite imaging, underwater drones, and geological mapping reveal landscapes unseen for 10,000 years. In 2011, researchers announced potential structures off Spain's coast near Cadiz, patterns resembling Plato's concentric city. Others point to the Azores, where sonar has found plateaus that could once have been dry land. No definitive proof has emerged, but each discovery adds another thread to the mystery. Atlantis continues to call from beneath the waves, daring us to remember. Perhaps Atlantis was not destroyed by the sea at all. Perhaps it was buried beneath time, lost not in water, but in our own forgetting. Every generation has its own Atlantis, its own lost world of potential and regret. For the Greeks, it was a parable of pride. For us, it is a mirror reflecting the fragile balance between nature and civilization. If Atlantis truly existed, its ruins lie scattered not only beneath oceans, but within our collective memory, a reminder that no empire, however great, is immune to the tides of change. In the end, the legend of Atlantis is not about what sank, but what survived. An idea that somewhere in our past lies a civilization both wondrous and doomed, reminding us that progress and destruction are two sides of the same wave. Asterisk. If you enjoyed this voyage into history's greatest mystery, join us next time on Human Odyssey Through Time, as we uncover another lost wonder of the ancient world. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Your next journey awaits beneath the horizon.